Hey everyone, hi, welcome back to the channel. I hope that your month is going well. My month has been exciting so far in different ways, exciting, but also a little bit difficult. I think that's just how life goes there, seasons upon seasons. I hope that your work with the Lord is going strong and steady, and that you have people around you that, are able to support you, even if it's just one person. I hope that you do have that one person in your corner. And even if you don't, even if it's a dry season out there, don't worry. The Lord is ever near all the time. He is always with us. He's always just watching over us. And so, yeah, take solace in that. For today's video, I finally quit my job after 4 years and 2 months. And I think it's time. I think it's okay for me to talk about it now. So let's get into today's video. If this is your first time on the channel, do consider subscribing. If you do end up liking this video, do also, leave a like and a comment if there's something that you would also like to share or something that I say in this video that you're able to relate to. Let's get it. The number one question that I get asked very often whenever I tell people this piece of information, I say, I left my job after 4 years. They always ask me why. Why? And the why comes in different tones. Sometimes it's, curious why, sometimes it's surprised why. And just different expressions I have gotten so far. And so the question is always why? Why did I leave this job? The economy is just, looking funny and tough, and things are hard out there. Jobs are not that easy to find, apparently. And so people are always just curious why. And I would say that the very simple answer that I have, although this answer might be annoying, I think it used to be annoying to me also, but the answer is that I just knew that it was time. I knew that the time was right. And I always disliked it when, especially when it came to, relationship and marriage. Whenever I heard someone say, they ask the question like, "Oh, how did you know this was the person for you?" And they say, "Oh no, we just knew very, very first moment. I knew." That answer always gets me upset. But after just going through everything that I've been through in the last 3 months, I think I can definitely relate now. It's just there's a knowing. There's a knowing where you come to a conclusion that this is the next step that has to be taken. You're not really sure where you're going, you're not really sure how things are going to pan out, but you know that you don't want to spend another second in this place. And I'm going to say this and be very plain. I did not hate my job, and the work environment wasn't bad. It wasn't like, oh, the job was terrible and that was why I left. No, it was just there was an emptiness that I did feel on that job. There was an emptiness that grew by the day. It wasn't there, let's say, the first year. The first year I was curious, I had things were a bit exciting. Second year, same thing, I was growing. By the third year, I had a sort of emptiness. It just felt like, oh, this is not the right place for you to be. But that job also felt like a first love. It felt like a relationship that you've gotten into, and you've just gotten so accustomed to how things have been. You're just, this person, or you think you know this person through and through, and they're comfortable. My job had gotten very comfortable for me, but at the same time, I had a knowing, and I knew that I needed to leave. And so I tried to, I just tried to hold on for as long as I could. But in the end, here I am, the decision had to be made. And so going into how exactly did I know that, this is time and you just need to leave this place? The first thing is that I could no longer see a future where I was. I tell people, I said, I looked at my boss and I didn't want my boss's job. I didn't want my boss's job. I looked at what they were doing and there was nothing really intriguing to me. I didn't want that job. They're probably getting paid really well, but I didn't see myself, coming to work and taking this responsibility from them. It just didn't excite me in any ways. And so I knew that I couldn't see myself growing. And so what's the point of staying where I was? The second thing is that it felt like I was avoiding the inevitable. That is what it really felt like. It felt like I was just putting off something that was going to happen eventually. And so every day it felt like I was just pushing and I was pushing. And I remember towards the end, I would come to work on some days and the workload would be something that I should finish in an hour. And it will drag on 4 5 hours. And so I would just waste an extra 4 5 hours struggling to do something that I could have done in 30 minutes. And so every day I would show up at work and it really just felt like I wasn't being productive at all. It really did feel like I wasn't being productive at all. And I was just straining myself and I didn't have an outlet to, run to. So towards the end, I knew that the time had come. Another thing is, if I didn't leave at that time, I have that feeling that if I don't leave now, I don't think I would live for a very long time. I think I would be stuck here in this world and I would get used to being stuck. That was what it felt like. It felt like I would get used to being stuck. I would get used to being in this position. It just felt like if you don't leave now, you will not live for the next 6 months, 1 year, and you would have just wasted all that time because you'll be here and you'll be doing nothing, you'll be taking up space. The last thing that I would say that really, was the nail on the head for me was that the pay was of no consequence to me. And I'm going to say this in all honesty. My job, I was getting paid, as at the time I left, I was getting paid well, at least compared to a lot of other people that I know of. And when I tell people what I was earning when I left, they're a bit surprised like, oh my God, how could you leave a job that was paying you that much? Especially my moms, because I have a lot of moms. When I tell them, they're like, how can you leave a job that is paying you that much? No, they have they have their thoughts about it. But the thing is, at the time when I started making plans to leave, the money really didn't mean anything to me again. That's and I don't know how to explain this to people that the money just felt like okay, I'm collecting money and that's it. It didn't feel like it was adding value to me. It really just felt like it would come in and it was gone. That was it. And so the money wasn't the goal. So that's that. And so the second thing for this video is someone asked me, I think I've had one or two people ask me, like, how did you get the courage to leave? And I'm not really sure how to answer that question most of the time. I just say that I felt like the Holy Spirit had been nudging me for a while. And it is in God's grace, His goodness, His mercy that I think that He nudged me for so long. And He was persistently reminding me that I needed to move. I think it's just in the grace of God that that the Lord persisted in just nudging me in the right direction and not giving up on me. Because if I were God, I would have given up on myself. And so it took months of me knowing that I needed to leave. But I just had this fear because I didn't know what I was going to do after. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. But something that the Lord did was He sort of gave me an outlet and reminded me of the things that I used to love, the things that I used to enjoy, the things that at one point were, sort of like a dream that I had. One the things I wanted to study, what I wanted to do with my life. So I kept getting those ideas in my head. And so with that, I thought, you know what, I don't want to live a life. I had to come to a point where I decided that I don't want to live a life of just constantly going through understanding what the problem is but not doing anything about it, which I think is something that is very rampant now. It's that we understand with all the knowledge that we have about the world, about ourselves, we understand so much, but it's getting up and doing something differently that is always the problem. I would say, we study and we study what our problems are, but we rarely ever find avenues to change what we're doing. And so I wake up in the same cycle every day, just tired and angry and depressed and resentful. And it was just the same thing every single day. It's just like how sometimes you really hate how your body feels, but at the end of the day, you end up eating junk food the night before, you're drinking soda, you're not really doing anything to make the situation better. And as I said before, I knew that if I didn't leave at that time that I left, I felt like I was going to be stuck for a very long time. So it was really just like you need to get out. It was a get out situation. Like if you've seen that movie, you know what it was literally like you need to get out of here now. No plan, no backup, nothing. But you need to leave. And so by the grace of God, I will say by the grace of God, I made the decision and I left. And I would say that the one thing that I always tell people when they ask me, I would say that I don't regret my decision. I don't regret my decision in that I don't regret that I left. Were there things that I would have done differently before and after leaving? Definitely. And I will get into that in the next video. There were things that, or there are things that I wish I did differently before I left and also after I left. But no, I do not regret the decision of leaving. And if you have that nudge, you have that emptiness, you have that conviction that, maybe where you are now is not where you want to be, I would say, don't be hasty, of course. Um, but there is only so much time that we have as people on this earth. There's only so much time. Go to God, I invite him. I wish I invited him into so many things earlier, and I wish I went to him. Just because he's the one that has, all the information. He's the one that knows it all. I wish I went to him more often, more diligently, just to know where my life was, supposed to pivot. But yeah, I'm glad, I'm content. And if you have this, if you're also struggling with this decision, should you not, um, I would say go to God and take that leap. If you're just waiting and waiting, you might find yourself waiting for a very long time. So do take the leap if you have the conviction and you're just, don't let fear be the reason why you remain there. That's just it. You need to think why. Why are you not leaving? If fear is the primary thing, if fear of the unknown especially is the primary thing, you need to think about who you are in Christ and how faith is the bedrock of who we are as believers. Faith in God, faith in doing things that you can't really see the end of. Yes, and so I would encourage you. If you have been in this situation before, if it's something that you are contemplating, let me know in the comments. If you also think that, if you think, the situation for you is slightly different, we all have different experiences, let me also know what your experience is like. What is your, it might not even be a job, it might just be a business that you have and you are looking at other options. It might be a business you've had for a while and you are scared to let go of it because, so many things. But yes, do let me know, and I think we can all be encouraged by our different experiences. I will see you in the next video where I will probably just talk about the things that I wish I did better before I left the job, and definitely some things that I know now that I should have done better after leaving the job. And that's it for today. I will see you in the very next video. Bye.